Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here. Thank you for joining me for this, my first episode of my new series, the 1000 Gamerscore Report. And in this series, what I'm going to be doing is reviewing games strictly from an achievement standpoint. So if you have no interest in achievements or trophies, if you're a PlayStation player, we don't discriminate here at Meat City Gaming, then this series is not going to be for you. All I'm going to be doing is reviewing some games that I've played, that I've completed, gotten the full 1,000 points or the Platinum Trophy on, and talking about the achievements that you need in order to complete the game. I'm going to look at things like how many times you need to play through the story, collectibles, are they reasonable or are they crazy? Are there really annoying achievements? Are there ones that the developer put in that just make no sense or that you have to boost, or other things like that, all related to the achievements. And then at the end, kind of give a score in terms of whether I recommend the game from an achievement standpoint. Where this series comes from is I don't get to play as many games as I used to, so I'm a little more selective about it, but achievements are still something that really hooked me early on. I really enjoy pursuing the achievements in games. So when I look at getting a game, I pick up games where I can now, sometimes through GameFly, sometimes I'll pick up some used games at a GameStop or something like that. One of the things I look into are the achievements for those games. So these may not be the most up-to-date titles. These might be titles that have been out for a while, but if you're the type of gamer who doesn't play things right when they come out, but you're looking for things to pick up here and there, and one of the things that you care about are achievements, then maybe this series will be right for you in order to give you just a little bit of background, a little bit of what to expect in terms of the achievements for those games. So for the first episode, the game that we're going to cover is Metro Redux. And this is kind of a special game because it's actually two games in one. Metro 2033 Redux and Metro Last Light Redux. Both of those games came out as standalone titles a little while ago. And then what they did is had a re-release of Metro Redux, which includes the full playthrough of both games as well as some DLC that was included with those games. And so for one rental or purchase of a single game, in air quotes there, you get a total of 2,000 Gamerscore, or two, I guess you would get 2 Platinum Trophies. I don't know how that works on the PlayStation side. If you've played this on the PlayStation side, let me know. Is it a Platinum Trophy for each, or just one for the entire title? So we're going to start off with a discussion of the story mode, and it's a fun, entertaining story. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it because that's not what the focus of this series is, but the achievements do require 2 full playthroughs of the story, and that's reasonable. There's no requirement for difficulty, so the easiest difficulty is listed as normal, and it's actually a pretty reasonable normal. Usually the lightest, the lowest difficulty level is kind of a cakewalk for any kind of experienced gamer, but normal does the job here for Metro. That felt about right if you're looking to just cruise through the game, not make it a cakewalk, have some challenge, but also not get bogged down, like a veteran in a Call of Duty where you're just constantly dying and trying to reach the next checkpoint. They do have way higher increased challenge levels, including a Ranger mode, but there's no achievements tied to that. So rather than be tied to the difficulty level in terms of getting achievements, sometimes there's difficulties for beating a game on normal, on hard, on expert. These achievements are tied to the game mode. Metro includes a survivor mode and a Spartan mode, and they're mostly the same. I really didn't notice a big difference. What the game tells you is that in Spartan mode, it's a little bit more arcadey. Resources are more plentiful. Things like filters for your air mask, which is something that you need to manage in-game at certain points, are supposed to be more plentiful in Spartan mode. And Survivor mode is supposed to be more of the faithful recreation of the experience that the developers want, where things like air filters and other resources are a little more hard to find. So moving on to the levels. There are the standard level achievements, of course, for reaching certain milestones within the game, completing certain levels as you progress. But there's also some special level-based achievements where you need to complete certain levels in a certain way. Stealth is a big thing, getting through some of the levels without setting off any alarms or being noticed, or some of them require to do so to get through a level without killing any enemies. Sometimes it's human enemies, sometimes it's other enemies. So the good thing about the levels is none of them are overly long or difficult, whereas you could make your way 90% through the level, spend 20 minutes doing it, and then a screw up in the last minute can set back all that progress. Those things are rare. Usually there's checkpoints. Usually you can go back to the checkpoint if you make a mistake. And even if not, the levels that require the stealth or non-killing playthroughs are usually fairly quick to get through. So no big deal there. And they kind of make sense from a story aspect as well, because this is a game about the post-apocalypse where resources are limited and you're outnumbered, and so it would make sense why you want to get through an area without having to waste a lot of bullets or other resources. So we'll move on to the collectibles, and of course collectibles are always a part of the achievements nowadays, and a lot of games do them wrong. They do them as a time sink just to increase the amount of time that you're playing the game in order to get through it, in order to perfect it. But that is not the case in Metro. There is only one real collectible across both games, and as I'm describing this, the games are set up incredibly similarly. So I'm not describing the levels per se or the collectibles for Metro 23 Redux and then Metro Last Light Redux, because they're basically handled the same way. So again, for the collectibles, there really is only one. They're journal entries, and they're actually really cool. They provide a lot more background to the story and to the world that's going on, so they're really cool from that aspect. And they're also pretty harmless. Usually you can find them without too much trouble. There's only about 2 per level on average. Some have 0, some have up to 4, but it comes out to about 2. And you probably won't find them all without a guide. Some of them are hidden pretty well within the game, so you may need a guide to go find them, but the good thing is there is a level select, so you can always go back and clean up. And in addition, once you secure the diary entry, the journal entry, there's no need to continue playing. Like, it's automatically saved right away, so you can grab it, and if that's the last one on the level, you can back out of the level and go get your next one. So cleaning those up is not a big deal at all. So there's miscellaneous achievements, just like in many other games, to round out the lists. There's get certain number of kills with certain gun, kill certain numbers of certain enemies, but none of them are overly arduous. I think almost all of these you'll get through the normal course of your playthroughs. There is a requirement to use each of the guns to get a kill, I think, in Metro 2033 Redux. So you might have to, force yourself to use each weapon once, but again, it's just to get one kill. So it's easy to load up a level, buy that gun that you haven't used yet, get your kill, and then move on. In terms of the hardest achievements in the game, I'm going to go to the Last Light DLC missions. These are some extra missions that were part of the DLC for Last Light when it was released originally, and they're standalone missions. They don't take place in the story. They're just one-offs. You're some random soldier located outside of the main story, or sometimes you're one of the secondary characters, and you're fulfilling a single enclosed mission, whether it's to get through an area or to defend off of waves of enemies, or they provide some various color and background to the world. The difficulty for them is tuned higher than the rest of the game. Again, you can play through on any difficulty, so normal is the lowest difficulty, but compared to the rest of the game, these are definitely more challenging. Again, you can spend a little bit of time cracking down on these, and you'll get through it if you're at all experienced. Or if you're really stuck, there are guides on how to get through those levels as well. But those are the most challenging. There's, I think, 8 or 9 of those DLC levels, and maybe 4 of them will test your mettle a little bit on the normal or lowest difficulty. But like I said, nothing too bad. You can get through them with just a little bit of persistence. The 2 annoying achievements. So the most annoying achievements in the game. This is something I'm going to try to cover in games whenever there is something that I find either annoying or trivial or just done poorly. And the worst thing that I can say about achievements in terms of the Metro Redux games, there's 2 annoying ones, and they're both, again, in the Last Light section of the game, and they're just time sinks. That's the problem with them. So the first and lesser offender takes place during the story. Completely randomly, you end up coming across a theater performance, and you're invited to watch it if you want. And if you watch the entire show, you get an achievement. And the show takes somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes. And it's not funny, it's not entertaining, it's just a 10 to 15 minute time sink where your character has to sit in a chair and watch this performance go on that has nothing to do with the story or anything else. So not a fun way to include an achievement in a game. Put on an episode of Rick and Morty or something, move your controller every once in a while that's going on your other TV input, and get through it, and you won't be missing much. And the other offender, it's even worse. It's to spend an hour on one of the DLC levels, and it's a level that's basically a built-in wiki. It's got the enemies that you can kind of walk up to, their 3D models, and have them go through their motions, their attack animations, and a couple of paragraphs about them are incorporated there. I believe there's also a shooting range to fire the guns that are in the game. I mean, it's fine that they included it, and fine, play it for 5 minutes, but to have to spend an hour on the level is just too much. I don't know what the thought was there. But again, it's the kind of thing where you can turn on the level, put on your show. Hey, Game of Thrones, the new season's coming out soon. So put on Game of Thrones, have the controller sit next to you, wiggle the joystick every 5 minutes or so your game doesn't time out and pause, and you'll be able to secure that one without too much trouble. And so that's going to wrap it up. That's the recap of the achievements in the game, and it's going to lead to my final score for the achievements of Metro Redux, and I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. And what that means is I recommend this. If you're looking for a game to get some achievements, to have a good time, to increase your gamer score or your trophy count, this is a really good one. Again, you get a single game that doubles the normal score for a game. You get 2,000 gamer score included here. It's an enjoyable experience. It's not too grindy. The achievements are done smartly so that you can jump back in to clean up ones that you miss with the level select. You can grab the diary pages and then quit out right away. All that is done really, really smartly. The only thing preventing this thing from getting a 10 out of 10 is the fact that it does have those a bit annoying time sink achievements that I mentioned earlier on in the game. So that's it. That's going to wrap up the first episode of the 1,000-point Gamerscore Report with JD. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If achievements are something that you guys like, then this is for you. Hopefully you'll be able to put this knowledge to use in picking out some games for yourself in the future. If there's any games that you're interested in or curious about, feel free to suggest those. I will try to work my way to those, but this is a series that's not going to be frequently updated, as it will require me to first complete a game with the full 1,000-point score. And gaming through games quickly is not something that I do right now. I spend a lot of time in World of Tanks, and I'm playing Dark Souls 3 right now and doing some other things. So maybe one of these a month is something you could expect, but certainly not much more than that. So I'd love to hear what you guys think. Feel free to leave a comment, suggestions, anything like that. I'm always looking for feedback, and I appreciate it greatly. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.